Hej och välkomna till Fun Swedish, vår YouTube-kanal. As you might know, we have done 8 videos about the Swedish vowels. And today we're going to talk about our last vowel, number 9, Ö. This vowel is not the most sophisticated one, but it really represents the Swedish language, a language of Vikings. Ö. That's how you should think when you do this vowel. You're a tough Viking. But how does this work? Well, is kind of a mix between a Swedish O and a Swedish E. And put together, it became this So what happened is that we wrote 2 dots on the top of the O to make this sound. And it's super important to not forget these 2 dots on the top and also to pronounce it as an and not an O. So important to not drop your inner Swedish Viking. A Viking ready for a battle. Exactly. That's how you get the perfect Why it's so important to not mix the O with the is because Swedish people have a hard time understanding broken Swedish, which means that it's super important to get the vowels right. Otherwise, the Swede is going to be very confused. A student of mine told me that before he became my student, he knew some basic words in Swedish. For example, the word beer. So when he came to Sweden for the first time, he was really excited to try to test and see if he could use this newly acquired word. So he went to a Swedish bar, all excited, and tried to approach the Swedish bartender. And he started by asking an öl tack. But the bartender looked really confused. So my student tried to say it again, an öl tack. But again, the bartender looked really confused. And this was because the bartender didn't understand broken Swedish. So my student noticed this, he just gave up and said in English instead, "Can I have a beer, please?" But then the bartender said, "Åh, du vill ha en öl." Oh, you want an öl, a beer. And this is how the word öl was pronounced. This is a very good example of how sensitive Swedish people are to this broken Swedish, which basically means that you pronounce the vowel in a completely different way than how it should be pronounced. So that's why we need to really think the word beer as öl. You are a Viking when you say this. You can even think as well that you drank too much beer and you're feeling a little bit, you have too much air in your body and you need to kind of burp. So that will also help you to get this perfect pronunciation of the word öl. And öltack. So let's look at more example where it's very easy to not pronounce the vowel right. But before we do that, tack så jättemycket till alla er som likar våra videos. Thank you so much for all those who are liking our videos and all our new subscribers. So if you haven't subscribed yet, do that, and also we really appreciate a like on this video as well. Bra! Nu kan vi fortsätta. So here are some examples where it's very easy to confuse the vowel with the Swedish vowel o. For example, we have the word rösta. Rösta is how we say to vote. For example, to vote in an election. But then we have the word rosta, which means to roast or to toast. Till exempel, rosta bröd, to toast bread. So here's very important to pronounce the when it should be an and the o when it should be an o. Because otherwise we're going to say, jag röstade i valet. I toasted in the election. What? Or, jag röstade brödet. I voted the bread. Very confusing. You're going to really confuse the Swede. So important to pronounce these 2 words right. Rösta, rosta. Rösta, rosta. Bra. And then we have some more words. These ones are more easy to mix up when you write, not so much when you say them, but still super important to know the difference. We have, for example, the word höra, which means to hear, and then we have the word hora. Super important to not mix up these 2. And then we have the word kö, which is a borrowed word, and that means queue. And we have the word ko, which is how we say cow in Swedish. And then we have the words löv, the leaf on the trees, and the word lov, which is how we say school holiday or school break. For example, jullov, Christmas break, Christmas holiday. And if you remember from our previous vowel videos, all vowels have their long version and their short version. Normally the long version comes when you have just one consonant coming after or no consonant coming after. And the short version happens when we have more than one consonant coming after, normally two or more. In the case of the Ö, the long version would be Ö, more the Viking version, Ö. And the short version is more like an We're going to see some examples now so you can hear the long version and the short version of the A word with a long version is the word Ö. But now you're wondering, but isn't that the vowel in itself? Yes, it is, but it's also a word in Swedish because Ö is how we say island in Swedish. I guess maybe the logic is that the Ö kind of looks like an island. I mean, it's like a circle and maybe some small tiny islands close. Another example is the word snö. Snö is how we say snow in Swedish. Bröd. Here comes important food-related words. Bröd is how we say bread in Swedish, also with a long vowel because it's just one consonant coming after. And then final word, also food related, and we need it to make bread. Bröd is the word mjöl. Mjöl is how we say flour in Swedish. So all of them have this long version because we're just one consonant or no consonant coming after the Ö. Okay, then we have come to the short version of the Ö. And again, this happens when you have two or more consonants coming after the Ö. You can, for example, see it in the word dörr, dörr. That is how we say in most cities in Sweden, door, dörr. And then we have a word that we use a lot nowadays because it's very dark in Sweden, and that is mörk, mörk. Also here the Ö is short because we're two consonants coming after. And then we have the word mjölk. We drink a lot of mjölk in Sweden. Mjölk means milk. Also here the Ö is very short. Let's pick up two of these words with the long version and the short version and compare them with each other. We have, for example, the long word mjöl. Mjöl is how we say flour. And then we have the word for milk, mjölk. Mjöl, mjölk, mjöl, mjölk. Can you hear a little bit of difference between the long version and the short version? Now things get a little bit more complicated because we also have some dialectal differences. And since I'm from Stockholm, I'm going to teach you the Stockholm accent as well. What is very special with the Stockholm accent is that sometimes or most situations when we have an Ö with two consonants after, we make the Ö short, but it can also turn more to a U sound. So if we have the word, for example, dörr, which means door, in Stockholm we have a tendency to pronounce this more as dörr, dörr. That's actually how I really say it, dörr instead of dörr. If you go to Stockholm, you're going to hear that when you take the metro or the subway, they're going to say dörrarna stängs, which is basically the door are closing. If you go to other places, they will say dörrarna stängs, but not in Stockholm because we're different. So we say instead dörrarna stängs. Same thing happens with the word börjar. Börjar is how we say to start. But in Stockholm, we would say jag börjar. So here the word börjar change more to a U sound. Börjar, jag börjar en svenska kurs. Eller jag börjar klockan 5. Eller jag börjar en ny YouTube-video. So the Ö turns more to a U sound if we have two consonants coming after. Typical Stockholm accent. Men bra! Så, det var allt. That was it for this video today about the Ö. Ö or Ö or U if you want to have the Stockholm accent. Anyway, hope you liked this video and hope you're able to get your beers öl when you order them in the bar. Tusen tack, vi ses nästa vecka. Hej då! Vi hörs!